What's poppin', everybody? This is the Cartoon Kid, Ray Rollins, and we're on the Cartoon Kid channel, man. Today, we're continuing the reviews of Rick and Morty Season 4, and today we're talking about Season 4, Episode 9, Childrick of the Mort. If y'all been watching for a good minute, then you know how I do this, man. Before I start breaking the episode down, I'm gonna have to give y'all that episode breakdown. So, to pretty much sum it up in a nutshell, this episode is centered around the whole entire Smith family going on a family vacation, right? But our favorite mad scientist has some motherfucking baby mama drama, man. Our good buddy Rick over here is getting hit up by his, I guess you can call it girlfriend, wife, girlfriend? I don't know. I'm kind of confused on that part. But whoever this female is, she's basically saying, hey, come take care of your damn kids, cuh. So Beth's like, you're not abandoning any more kids like you abandoned me. You're going to go handle this mess. So they basically go to the planet where Rick's kids are going to be on. And they basically find out that, yo, Rick busted a big ass nut on a planet, I guess, if you even want to call it that. And the nut was so goddamn big, this motherfucker populated a whole new Earth. So the main plot of this episode focuses around Rick raising his kids. Later on, he finds out that the planet in which he populated, which is called Gaia, I guess, or Guy, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, was acting foul and ended up having a side piece, which turns out to be God or a Zeus or whatever, some mythological shit, who Rick ends up getting into a huge fight with, ends up finding out he's bullshit, and Guy ends up choosing the side of her side piece. Now, there's a subplot going on here in this episode which focuses around Jerry, who basically wants to feel needed in a way by his kids. He's trying to show them how to camp and do all this nice, fun Boy Scout shit. But Summer ain't having it. Morty ain't having it either. They just want to go home and partake in the activities that they enjoy. Like Summer, she wants to get high. Morty wants to play video games. They both want to be on their phones. They both want to party in a sense. And as Rick's off taking care of his own business, Summer and Jerry and Morty, they're over here camping and whatnot. And Summer basically gets in Jerry's ass. She starts roasting homeboy, basically making him feel like shit. Jerry ends up going off on a walk on his own and basically ends up meeting some of Rick's people who are labeled unproductive. And they basically treat this man like he's God. So Jerry, seeing himself as one of them, wants to show Rick and everyone else on the planet that these people aren't unproductive, that they have a nice place in society. Now, obviously, the subplot's not as important or interesting as the main plot, at least to me. I'll explain why when I get down into my review, but it's just as good, man. Now, the first thing I want to say about this episode is this, in my opinion, and obviously a lot of people may disagree with me, a lot of people may agree with me. I don't consider myself to be one of the day one Rick and Morty fans, although I have been watching from Season 1. I had to binge watch it before I started reviewing Season 4. I watched it all last year. But in my personal, humble opinion, this in many ways feels like a classic Rick and Morty episode. Yeah, I said in previous reviews, I'm not a big fan of the whole action-y style of storytelling. And yeah, we had a big old fight in this episode. You had a little mini war between Jerry and Beth. So you can argue that that's action-y. While I'll agree with that, I have to say this. If there's anything I love about Rick and Morty, and a bunch of other cartoons as well, is a nice character-centered episode. I mentioned in the Vat of Acid episode that I liked it because it's centered around Morty. Yeah, I know, Rick and Morty, you see a lot of Morty. Morty gets a lot of screen time, obviously, because he's one of the protagonists. But the way that the writers portray it, they want you to be on, I guess you could say, Rick's side. Rick's supposed to be Mr. Popular from this series. If there's any protagonist that you want to go on the side of, is going to be our good mad scientist buddy Rick Sanchez. But I explained that I empathize with Morty a little bit because I feel like he's like me in many ways. He's level-headed like me, and he's trying to keep Rick on track while Rick is over here being wild and whatnot. But in this episode, I found myself feeling for Jerry a little bit. Now, I remember when I was watching Season 3, man, I hated Jerry with a passion. I'm not even going to lie with you. As soon as Beth got back with his ass, I was like, oh, come on, you dumb bitch. Why you finna get back with Jerry, man? Come on, man. That man ain't shit. And I just didn't like Jerry as a character. I didn't. And I can't say I still do, because he's nothing but a fuck up. But in this episode, man, when Summer told his ass off, she ripped that man a new asshole. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. She fucking roasted his ass. I couldn't do nothing but feel bad for the guy. Yeah, he collects unemployment, this and that. I mean, at this time it's coronavirus, so that's why he's collecting unemployment. And I gotta side with Jerry on that. But Jerry, like I said, has never been my favorite character. But in this episode, I was just rooting for him because Summer just chewed his ass out. And Jerry, he's trying to do good in this episode, man. Yeah, he can say he's trying to feel needed, but he's trying to teach his kids about the outdoors. He's trying to teach his kids how to live if they had no electricity. He was trying to show them a good time on their family vacation. So I can't do nothing but respect that, man. Jerry's trying to do what he should always been doing, and that's being a good father to his children. And when you kind of couple that with real world examples, you see kids nowadays being on their phones all the time, being on their tablets, their computers, not really socializing with their parents in a way. And yeah, I'm more so targeting teenagers with that, but that's a normal teenage aspect. But I'm going off it on the side of the parents too, because when you really think about it, parents give these kids all these electronics just to let them, be on their own. These electronics are designed to make kids babysit themselves in a sense. So Jerry is doing something that most parents of today should be doing, and that's trying to spend time with his kids, trying to teach his kids about the outdoors, going on vacations with his kids, just spending quality time with them as a whole. And when Summer chewed his ass out, man, I'll be honest, that bitch needed to get nice good old right hand to the face. Come on, man. How you gonna talk to your daddy like that? That's just downright disrespectful. Yeah, Jerry's not my favorite character, but just, man, don't shit on the homie like that. And that's probably what the writers were trying to do. Obviously, they're trying to make us feel some type of way for Jerry. They want us to root for him in this episode. And what better way to do that than to have his bogus ass bitch of a daughter just chew his ass out like that, man. That's the first really good thing they did with this episode. Now, the second good thing is Rick Sanchez and his baby mama drama. I just recorded a review for a SpongeBob episode, and I had mentioned that I love when they do callbacks to other episodes. Now, they didn't necessarily do a callback to another episode in this week's episode, but they did bring up Rick and Beth's issues with him abandoning her, which is pretty dope in my eyes. Granted, Rick and Morty, SpongeBob are two different series, but I had to get on the head of the SpongeBob writers for not going through referencing a previous experience SpongeBob had in season 4 in a newly released episode. So I thought that was pretty cool, and you just see that shit, and I thought it was pretty cool how they referenced Rick's abandonment issues to Beth in this episode. Now, Rick, in a sense, is trying to redeem himself, trying to, make the whole situation with Beth a little better by showing her that, hey, I'm going to take care of these kids. And he legit tries. He goes to the planet, he watches Gaia give birth to the kids, and he's trying to create this little machine that puts his 90 million different kids into different categories to make the world run smoothly. Then this planet bitch is like, oh no, Rick, about those kids, yeah, they're not yours. They have a different father. And, she basically kicks him off the planet. He's like, I think you should leave. So the whole baby mama drama results in Rick getting into a big ass brawl. And Rick, I swear, he's getting his ass beat. Okay? This freaking Zeus god monsterish motherfucker is whooping Rick's ass. If there's anything I can appreciate from any type of cartoon or anime, because I'm a real big fan of anime now, is a nice hand-to-hand combat scene. Fuck all the shootouts and the everything that Rick and Morty be getting into throughout these seasons. But a nice hand-to-hand combat scene is dope. And we got that in this episode. That monster dude was beating Rick's ass. Now, Summer and Morty, once they separate from Jerry, they go off and doing their own thing. They go into this little spaceship or whatever, and they think it's like some type of simulator for what they really want to do. Morty, it's playing video games. Summer, it's getting high. So she's basically smoking what she thinks is a bong, and Morty's trying to learn this ship's controls by using a video game controller. Eventually, they find out that, this isn't any type of simulation. This is an actual ship. And they end up crashing it into the big monster homie's head who's fighting Rick, and they end up saving Rick's ass. Summer ends up getting high as shit, And she says, yo, I've been scared straight. I don't want to ever get high again. And it's revealed that she was smoking like brake fluid or whatever. Now, after they end up saving Rick's life, they all reconvene on the spaceship to head home and whatnot. And Rick obviously tries to make Jerry feel like shit. But this time, I got to give a big up to the writers for this. They give Jerry the W by making Beth defend him. She's like, oh man, Jerry saved my life today. Which is all Jerry wants, man. He wants his wife to defend him. Rick basically sees that he took the L in the situation, so he's going to try to make them feel like bad parents and make them think that they're not raising Rick and Morty right by basically ratting them out that Summer was smoking brake fluid and Morty over here is trying to play video games with a ship controller and whatnot, which I thought was pretty funny. But the main takeaway from that scene is like, yo, Jerry finally got a fucking W, man. And like I said, I don't like Jerry as a character. Never did. Always hated him. But seeing that moment with Summer at the beginning of the episode and then this at the end, man, I was like, yo, I couldn't do nothing but root for Jerry. And I'm happy he got that W and that his wife had his back in that situation with Rick, man. There's so many other things that I want to mention with this episode, like funny little moments and whatnot. But I just mentioned like the whole main core of everything that I wanted to say. So I'm finna hop in my review right now. So this episode, I have to say, is really freaking good. I like it. My personal opinion, maybe people won't agree, but I love this episode. It's a good one. I said that this was like a classic Rick and Morty episode, and let me explain. Majority of the episodes for season 4 have been super actiony, action movie-ish. Had shootouts and whatnot. It just felt too actiony to me personally, and I wasn't rocking with that. I'm gonna be honest with you. But while this episode had its actiony scenes, what it had that most episodes in this season didn't was a nice story and a nice adventure. The whole family was supposed to go on vacation. We end up with Rick trying to raise kids on a planet. Jerry has his own little subplot, which leads into the action scene at the end with Rick fighting Buddy and Jerry having a little war with Beth. Now, this episode wasn't straight up action. It was just plot, which led to action, which, in my opinion, is how a classic Rick and Morty episode usually is. You had your little science talk in there, which I didn't like because I didn't understand it per se, because I'm not a science person, but the reason why I like this series is because of the characters, the funny banter, the witty banter, the comedy, and just like characters as a whole. Like I said, this episode just got bonus points for me because the writers gave Jerry a motherfucking W. I don't root for Jerry. They made me want to root for Jerry, and they gave Jerry the W at the end. Fucking outstanding in my opinion. And this episode wasn't straight action. It had a nice story, which logically led up to an action scene, which is fantabulous in my opinion. And like I said, the whole comedy aspect of some of the parts of the episode, especially the scene at the end where Rick basically rats out Summer and Morty, and how Summer was getting high smoking brake fluid when she thought it was a bong. Just ratting them out, man. I was like, oh, Rick, you fucking ass. This episode, in those aspects, felt like a classic Rick and Morty episode to me. And I felt like this season really needed that, okay? Season 4 had a few good episodes, but come on, man, this is Rick and Morty. This is a hit cartoon that every cartoon fan today is fucking with heavily. And I'll be honest, I was very disappointed with how this season was going. I mentioned in a previous review that there was probably no more than like 3 good episodes out of the season. The Old Man in the Seat, the Slut Dragon episode, and you can put the Vat of Acid episode up there too. There's probably one more good one that I'm forgetting, but this episode right here, Childrick of the Mort, Season 4, Episode 9, can join that list. I'll be honest with you, man. For my rating in this episode, I'm going to have to hit it with an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10. Like I said, this episode, at least to me personally, felt like a classic Rick and Morty episode that I thoroughly enjoyed. It had plot. It made me root for a character that I normally wouldn't root for. They gave the guy a W at the end, which I felt was fucking solid because I thought they were going to revert to the whole Jerry getting dogged out, in which he was getting dogged out through a majority of the episode. I'll give him that. But just that small little scene where Beth basically stuck up for him in the end, like, oh, Rick, he saved my life. That to me is like, thank you. You gave my homie a W, man. I don't root for him. You had me root for him in this episode finally, and then you backed it up by giving him the W. Big ups for that. And you had a nice logical plot which led up to 2 big action scenes. It wasn't just straight action like the Snake Jazz episode or the Heist movie episode or even the Death Crystal episode with Morty. This, in my opinion, is how a classic Rick and Morty episode is structured. A nice plot that leads up to action scenes, which is why, in my opinion, I'm going to have to give this an 8 out of 10. But that has been my review for Rick and Morty Season 4, Episode 9, Childrick of the Mort. This is the Cartoon Kid, Ray Rollins, man. Tell me what you think, man. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if you disagree with me. Put all your opinions down in the comment box below, and I'll get back to you. Until then, I will see you when I see you. Peace out, everybody.